The developers have already shown us a list of all the rebalances at Tier 10 tanks. It took quite a bit of time, and it's understandable that most people still don't have a clear picture in their minds. We already know which tanks will become worse and which ones will be better, but what exactly needs to be upgraded right now is unclear. That's why I've prepared a list for you of the best tanks in patch 10.3 that will perform the best. You can start upgrading these tanks right now so that after the update is released, you can immediately start dominating random battles. So let's get started. I'd like to start the video with the two main tanks of update 10.3, namely the Leopard 1 and the STB 1. Let's go in order, starting with the Leopard 1. Currently, this tank is one of the best medium tanks in the game, if not the best, and it's a favourite among skilled players. The key feature of this tank is its excellent gun. Every aspect of this gun is just perfect: accuracy, damage per minute, penetration. However, the developers decided that since this tank performs so well, it needs a balancing tweak. They're increasing its damage per minute to nearly 4,000 units. But to balance it out, they're reducing its vertical gun angles by 1 degree, giving it a total of -8 degrees, which is still an excellent value. They're also increasing its view range to 270 meters. This tank is sure to be in high demand among players with purple statistics. As for the Japanese STB-1, it's also getting an increase in damage per minute from 3,200 to 3,600 units. Additionally, they're changing the shell type to armor-piercing and premium armor-piercing shells, which will give it a damage per minute of around 3,500 units. This tank is shaping up to be quite overpowered, considering its decent mobility, impenetrable turret, and vertical gun angles of -11 degrees. Now, with a DPM above 3,500 on premium shells, believe me, this will be the most toxic tank at Tier 10, and I'm confident it will receive nerfs in Update 10.4. Next up, we have the German medium tank E50M. This tank boasts the best armor among all medium tanks in the game, and some heavy tanks don't even have armor as strong as its. However, firstly, its main shell type is being changed to armor piercing, which is a bit disappointing. But in return, they're strengthening its armor. It's quite strange to buff the armor of the already most heavily armored medium tank in the game. But honestly, in my opinion, the E50M is currently just a huge target that gets penetrated everywhere in the lower glacis and turret. The developers are addressing this by making the turret nearly impenetrable, and adding armor to both the frontal hull and the sides of both the hull and the turret. This will significantly impact the tank, and it will perform exceptionally well in battles. I shudder to think what will happen when a platoon of stat padders takes these tanks into battle. Now let's move on to heavy tanks, and there's not much to talk about in this category. However, I want to highlight the German VK 72.01, which, in my opinion, will become the most formidable super heavy tank in the game. Firstly, they're improving its armor, which I believe should have been done a long time ago. Now you'll be able to confidently play it from the front. In addition to this, they're replacing its equipment, the camouflage net, with new enhanced suspension equipment, similar to what the Japanese Type 71 has. In short, this equipment improves the tank's maneuverability. They're also giving it a decent boost in DPM. I hope you understand what we're dealing with here, the new king of mountain roads. Guys, I'd like to recommend that you subscribe to my Patreon. There I post up-to-date game news and more written content, and I actively engage with subscribers. You'll also get early access to new videos before they're published on YouTube. Alright, let's continue, and now let's discuss light tanks, which are just as sparse as heavy tanks in this update. The Sheridan is getting nerfed, the Vickers light as well, and the Chinese light tanks remain lackluster. The only tank I can recommend you to focus on is the BAT Chatillon 25T. Playing it will be easier and more enjoyable because they're increasing its damage per shot, making it hit harder. Of course, they're also increasing the drum reload time by 2 seconds, but it's not critical. Additionally, they're improving its view range. In general, I recently added it to my garage before the rebalancing, and I was pleasantly surprised, thanks to the developers. And finally, the most exciting part, tank destroyers. Let's start with the Chinese tank destroyer, the WZ-113GFT. It's a very unpopular tank right now, but in the next patch they're improving its armor and engine power, specifically the maximum speed and off-road mobility. They're also speeding up the aiming time by almost a second, but to balance it out, they're slightly nerfing the rotation speed. As a result, this tank should become a real beast. I actually like this tank even now, so I'm looking forward to these changes. I also want to tell you about the Jagdpanzer E100. In patch 10.3, they are adding new consumables that will significantly increase the damage per shot, almost maximizing what the gun can deliver. As you can imagine, this is a massive boost for this tank, making it a must-have. Additionally, they are improving the tank's maneuverability, which is something the Jagdpanzer E100 really needed. This tank is going to be super fun and powerful when played on the front lines. Other than that, I didn't find any interesting tanks worth mentioning. Of course, there are many other tanks that will perform well after the rebalance. For example, I'm really curious to see how the T100E5 will play out. I also didn't cover collector and premium tanks in this video. If you want a video about those, please let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if you'll be researching any of the tanks mentioned in this video. Personally, I've already started working on the VK72.01 and Jagdpanzer E100, and I just added the STB1 to my garage yesterday. Right now, I'm training the crew for it in special modes. I hope this video was informative for you, and if you found it useful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you soon, friends.